Could Jonas Valanciunas be the first veteran on the move? And what destinations make the most sense to get a first round pick in exchange for his services? Come on, let's talk about it. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter, introducing the Locked On Wizards daily newsletter, a one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage, delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Wizards team newsletter. Tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, everybody. Like I said, Jonas Valanciunas. Could Jonas Valanciunas be the first veteran on the move? And what destinations make the most sense? To me, I've kind of narrowed it down to two locations, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, and that I think are the best destinations where we could get a first round pick and maybe a young player or another tradable asset in return. So let's get into it, everybody. The first destination that I looked at that could be a really good destination for Jonas Valanciunas if we want to get some draft compensation in return and or a young player or a player that we could eventually also flip at some point. So the first destination I'm looking at is the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the Lakers, to me, would be a really good fit for Jonas Valanciunas because they need another center on the roster to definitely because if you look at their rotation as far as center, yes, they got Christian Wood. Yes, they have Jackson Hayes. But I think that Jonas Valanciunas could come in and definitely be a really, really good center on their second unit. Really depends on how they want to, how they really want to run their team, right? Anthony Davis can play the four. So, really it depends on what their vision is, potentially where they could fit, Jonas Valanciunas. But, Anthony Davis could play the four, LeBron James a three, and, so on and so forth from there. So what kind of trade package could make sense if we indeed wanted to flip him to the Los Angeles Lakers? And I think that, number one, the 2026 first round pick. Now, the reason I'm choosing the 2026 first round pick, because before we do that, let's get into their pick situation real quick, because their pick situation just, it is a little dire for them in the immediate future. So looking at 2025, they do not have a first round pick, but they do have 2 second round picks. One is their own, and one is the Los Angeles Clippers that has no protections. Now, looking at 2026, they have their own first round pick. 2027, they have their second round pick. 2028, they have the first round pick. And then once you get to 2029, they have the first round pick. And then once you hit 2030, they hold both their first and second round picks. So why did I look at 2026 as far as a first round pick if I'm looking at first round draft pick compensation? Well, easy. Because past 2026, you may not see LeBron James in Lakers jersey. You may not see LeBron James in the NBA period. I think he'd probably be out the league by that point. And while the Los Angeles Lakers have never been a team that really formally started a rebuild, yes, you saw eras where they kind of, the Smush Parker years in LA, but they never really completely pushed the reset button. But, they may want to because they have a lot of young talent. I don't know if you guys checked out Dalton Connect, but he's another young piece they have that could be an indicator of what holds for the future. But, looking at LeBron James, this year we obviously knew that he wanted to play with his son, but next year is very, very up in the air right now. We don't know. Now, I believe he does have a 2-year contract, so I can go ahead and pull that real quick. Let's get into payroll because looking at LeBron James and his contract situation, yes, he is on a 2-year contract, but next year is a player option for $52.6 million. Man, that's a nice spot to be in. So it's not guaranteed he enacts that player option, especially now that he has formally played with Bronny James. He very well could walk away from the game next year. So could 2026, could they be a little hesitant to make that move? They very well could be, because again, once you lose LeBron James, could Anthony Davis be that guy that really lead the Lakers forward? Nothing against Anthony Davis, but at this stage in his career, I don't see that happen. They could flip him. He's always had his injury concerns, and even dating back to the New Orleans Pelicans days, while he was the number one option in New Orleans, has he ever really been that type of player that carry a franchise on his back? Yes and no. I think that I say it all the time, guys, that availability is your best ability. And he has had his injury concerns over the years. So the Lakers could also be looking at that situation and say, look, man, we got a guy who injury concerns, they could flip him once LeBron retires. So like I said, looking at the timeline, depending on what happens this year with the Lakers, and if they win a title, which I don't see them winning a title, even though, look, everybody's in the mix in the Western Conference. But I don't see them as being favorites right now to be the team coming out of the Western Conference. So you very well could see LeBron James walk away from the game next year. Because, again, he is on a $52.6 million player option. So, like I said, it's really on him. But then at that point, are they willing to give away a first-round pick in 2026? They could be willing to part with that pick to add a piece like Jonas Valanciunas, because I think Jonas Valanciunas would be a really good center for the team. Now, would he start? Probably not. Probably looking at Anthony Davis. Looking at power forward, you're probably looking at Rui Hachimura or Jared Vanderbilt. Like I said, I don't have their the depth chart in front of me, but just from being a basketball analyst, man, that's probably the lineup I would roll out, man. You're probably looking at Davis at the 5. You're looking at Vanderbilt or Rui at the 4, LeBron at the 3. And who knows, man? Dalton Knecht is a guy that I would definitely put in that starting lineup. And then you're looking at D'Angelo Russell. So Jonas Valanciunas would be a good center in their second unit rotation, in my opinion. But the question is, could we get a first round pick? I believe we could get a first round pick for Jonas Valanciunas. He has shown he still has gas left in the tank. He's shown that when given minutes, he is productive. So I think he could fit well in LA. Now, his salary. Now, if we're looking at players that we would want in return in a potential deal for Jonas Valanciunas, I've said it time and time again that I would like Jalen Hood-Schifino, nice young guard, 20 years old. He fits the timeline. Looking at his contract situation, this is an expired contract with him, so he would be on rookie scale contract. So you would have to sign him after this year. So that could be one hiccup in a potential deal. But also the second hiccup would be salary. He only makes $3.8 million. Now, if you look at Jonas Valanciunas' contract, the only player realistically, especially if you're looking at guard, and if you're looking at players that the Lakers will be willing to part ways with, Gabe Vincent is the guy that I'm looking at could probably be the player that we could get in return. Now, looking at Gabe Vincent real quick, 27 years old, nice young guard. Now, yes, we got Jared Butler. We do have Malcolm Brogdon. So if you are looking to grab Jalen Hood-Schifino or Gabe Vincent in a potential deal for Jonas Valanciunas, that is barring on what? Malcolm Brogdon being moved. Because Malcolm Brogdon does carry a $22.5 million price tag. So you would have to move on from Malcolm Brogdon to bring in another guard because, again, you already got Malcolm Brogdon, you already got Jordan Poole, you already got Bob Carrington, and they got Jared Butler. So those are big reasons why you'd be really hesitant on the Wizards' part to bring in another guard, because looking at the roster real quick, to make the salaries match, I don't see anybody else that, that would help match salaries and would be a player that, A, we would want in return, or B, the Lakers would want to send to Washington. Rui Hachimura, yeah, but I think that ship is sailed with him. Austin Reeves, but I don't see Austin Reeves being the guy that they would be willing to part ways with. So to me, Gabe Vincent is the most realistic player to expect in return, because, again, this season he's making $11 million, and next year he's making 11.5. So he's not a contract that's going to break the bank for us to have. And another thing to look at, too, is if we move on from Malcolm Brogdon, you could turn around and you could flip Gabe Vincent because he is on a very, very affordable contract. So, and there's another scenario to look at, guys, real quick, is that, yes, we could probably get Jalen Hood-Schifino, but it would take a third team in the deal. So it would be a 3-team trade, to make salaries match. And so if they are intent on Jalen Hood-Schifino being that one piece that they ask in return, and like I said, he does bring his risk. Now, while the contract situation, I don't think he's going to expect a lot of money in return because he's 20 years old. He hasn't had a lot of playing time. So I don't think the contract is going to make or break this team if we indeed want to go out there and give him a new contract, because, again, he would be a restricted free agent. So, but if you're intent on getting Jalen Hood-Schifino, it would take a third team. So, again, guys, I'm looking at Gabe Vincent. And I think that, again, Gabe Vincent is not a bad guard to have on your team. He's a guy that you can definitely add to another deal. So it's not a bad move to make, especially when you add a first-round pick. Now, worst case scenario with the picks, we don't get 2026 pick. You're probably looking at both second-round picks from 2025. And that's not a bad situation. Now, yeah, I get it. We're looking for a first-round pick. But adding those two 2025 second-round picks can help us in a couple ways. Number one, look, we need all the picks we can get. So we definitely check that box. But number two, you could use a lot of these second round picks to move back into the lottery. So if you're looking at a scenario where you want to grab one, maybe two high impact players in a draft like the 2025 NBA draft, which is a star-studded high impact player draft, that accelerates your rebuild. So if you come out of the draft, what best case scenario, Cooper Flag and maybe a point guard like Giroir out of France, that's a really good draft. And you add that to the 3 draft picks in this year's draft, Bilal Coulibaly and Tristan Vucevic in last year's draft, and players like Sadiq Bey, Jordan Poole, and Corey Kispert, depending, whether they're moved or not. This team's going to be better sooner. So, like I said, Will Dawkins is playing chess, not checkers. And, I think that he's been known that he's definitely willing to trade back into the lottery because he's shown this year that, number one, if you look at the Daniel Gafford move, it ended up being Keyshawn George. So that was a good move in hindsight, right? 24th overall, you got a guy who's going to be part of this core going forward. But looking at the Bob Carrington, part of that Denny Avia trade, he's not going to be hesitant to move back into the lottery or move back into a position to get another high-impact young player. So, like I said, there was a couple things to look at. So, looking at the Lakers deal, I think realistically you could get that 2026 first-round pick, but I think you could be looking at both 2025 second-round picks and a player like Gabe Benson. So you guys get in the comment section and let me know what you guys are thinking about that deal. Do you like it? Do you love it? And why? All right, so we're getting into the New York Knicks. Could the Knicks be willing to take on Jonas Valanciunas and maybe take the protections off our 2025 first-round pick? But before we get into that, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live, play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You can start with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, everybody, let's get back into this thing. So, number 2 on the agenda tonight, guys, is the New York Knicks. Now, I think they're a very, very intriguing team, man, as a possible trade partner because, again, they have our 2025 first-round pick. Now, it obviously has protections on it. If we hit certain spots or don't hit certain spots, then we can retain the pick. So let's take a look at their pick situation real quick. Boop, there we go. Boop, there it is. All right, so looking at the pick situation, they do have the Detroit Pistons 2025 first-round pick, but it is protected between the 1st and 13th pick. So we're not the only team that has like some protections to the New York Knicks as far as our 2025 NBA first-round pick. Let's see. So ours is obviously protected picks 1 through 10. So chances are we're going to retain that pick. But obviously going forward, it's going to get a little harder to retain that pick. So Jonas Valanciunas to the New York Knicks. What would be the package that I would be looking to dangle in front of them to in return for Jonas Valanciunas? Well, I think that's the first thing I want to talk about is that 2025 first round pick. I would ask them to take the protections off it and formally give it back to us, man. No more protections, give it back to us. Number 2, you'd probably look at Mitchell Robinson. Now, yes, Mitchell Robinson is down with an injury, but if you look at his situation with his contract, he again is on he is in the second year of a 3-year contract. So this year he's making $14.3 million, and then it goes down from there. Next year it'll be 12.9, and then he'll be your free agent in the 2026 offseason. So Mitch Robinson is a guy who can definitely play ball. Now he's, again, availability is your best ability. He's been hurt. He's more of your traditional center. He's not a guy who's going to stretch the floor. He's not a guy who's going to, shoot 3-point shots. He has a total lack of a mid-range game. He's a very traditional center. But he's a guy who's, he can be a rim protector. He can definitely help with rebounding. And, you don't have to break the bank to retain the guy. And, yes, looking forward at the center position for the Washington Wizards, Rashawn Holmes, next year will be an expiring contract. They could move him this year. Very well could move him next year. You got Tristan Vucevic. He's a young player that we definitely want to see what he can do for the future. So, 2 things with Mitchell Robinson, 2 scenarios. Number 1, again, you could have him on the team and he's not going to break the bank. He's 25 years old. He's kind of like Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and Corey Kispert, where he's a gray area player where, to a certain degree, he does fit the timeline. But then he kind of doesn't, right? So he could be a player that you could flip in the future moves. So, and you're looking at this contract this year, 14.3 is not going to be a contract that really hinders a team for winning his services, barring obviously he's healthy. And then next year, 12.9, a very, very team-friendly contract. So we could definitely flip him. And then you look at that Tristan Vucevic, looking at other players that we, acquired. Alex Sarr is obviously the future at the 5. Now, he's not quite ready. He's not quite ready, but they're playing him at the 5. So look, he's in it. He's in it to win it, right? So he is definitely the center of the future with his ability to not only rim protect and rebounding. Definitely want to see him get better, but he's shown a lot of strides in that area. And with his ability to stretch the floor, obviously, from 3-point range and from mid range. So, and then you get Tristan Vucevic. So I think that if we acquired Mitchell Robinson, he's going to end up being flipped at some point because between him, Rashawn Holmes. And in this scenario, obviously, we've already moved on from Jonas Valanciunas. You want to send a lot of these veteran centers out of DC and get some value from Rashawn Holmes. If you look at between him and Jonas Valanciunas, obviously, Jonas Valanciunas is going to get more value as far as trade value because of his ability to stretch the floor. Rashawn Holmes is very limited offensively. He's a dog. He's a high energy guy. He gets in there, he battles in the paint. He's a high character guy. He's definitely going to lead by example. And I think, but Jonas Valanciunas, between him and Jonas Valanciunas, Jonas Valanciunas is going to have the greater trade value, in my opinion. So the package, again, I'm asking for protections to be taken off that first round pick in 2025. And I'm going to ask for Mitchell Robinson in return because, to me, looking at salaries, he makes the most sense, in my opinion, because you're looking at other players on their roster. I don't see who they would be willing to part ways with. And I don't see, and I'm looking at FanSpo, and I'm going to be honest with you, they need to go ahead and update because these dudes still got Julius Randle on the Knicks. So, but like I said, Mitchell Robinson to me is the most realistic goal. And like I said, I saw this trade online. Shout out to my guy at DC Hoopla, man. He responded to this very trade on X. So this was definitely a trade I wanted to kind of respond to because this is a trade that's been kind of circulated around, NBA fandom and around the NBA circles. And I think Mitchell Robinson is probably your best bet in return. And like I said, Mitchell Robinson, yes, he's been hurt, but he produces when called upon. He's a traditional big, so don't expect him to kind of replicate the same abilities as Jonas Valanciunas because he's not in a stretch floor. He's not a shooting mid range, but he's a guy who he's light on his feet, a little lighter than JV is. He's on the cheap, 14.3 this year and 12.9 next year. But to me, he would probably be part of a future move because you want to see what Tristan Vucevic can do. Second round pick, you definitely want to see what he can provide for the future. And Alex Sarr is obviously the future at the 5 and here in DC because looking forward, power forward, Cooper Flag would slide right next to Alex Sarr in the best case scenario. And then worst case scenario, we'll have some options, man. But that's the deal I'm looking at, guys. I'm looking at protections taken off our 2025 first round pick and Mitchell Robinson in return for Jonas Valanciunas. So again, guys, you guys let me know what you think about this deal because again, I think this could be a really good deal. Both of them are really good deals. Now, the biggest thing is really more with the Lakers deal than the Knicks deal is future moves being made. Looking at the Lakers deal, Malcolm Brogdon would have to be moved if you bring in Gabe Vincent because you would create a logjam at point guard. You already got Bub Carrington. You already got Jordan Poole starting point guard. Then you got Jared Butler. You would have Malcolm Brogdon. So you would have to move on for 1 or 2 of your point guards to bring in a Gabe Vincent. And like I said, if you want to get Jalen Hood-Schifino, it would take a third team. And then looking at this prospective Knicks deal, Mitch Robinson is a guy where, he could play him and it's going to be the cheap. And again, it's not a long-term contract. So he's not going to handcuff us long-term. So Mitch Robinson, I think, could be a really good center here as a backup center for Alex Sarr. But to me, I want to see what Tristan Vucevic can do. So, like I said, it definitely is barring future moves. You probably want to see Rashawn Holmes being moved if you bring in Mitchell Robinson because, it kind of creates the logjam at center. Because you would have Alex Sarr, you would have Mitch Robinson, you would have Rashawn Holmes, and you had Tristan Vucevic. And then don't forget, we still have Marvin Bagley III, who plays center, played power forward. So we need to start thinning out the herd a little bit, start moving a lot of these veteran contracts, and looking at the playing standpoint as far as rotation and minutes. Yes, head coach Brian Keefe is probably going to be giving a lot more minutes to these vets. You're going to see lines where obviously Alex Sarr is going to start. Bilal Coulibaly is going to start. Keyshawn George has been relegated to a second unit role. So, like I said, I think that within the next month or so, we need to start looking at deals to start thinning the herd as far as moving on from a lot of these veteran guys, man, and really open up some playing minutes for a lot of these young guys. And looking at point guard, Malcolm Brogdon, he's back from injury, so and he's a little rusty, but I think he's definitely a guy where if healthy, he can be productive and we can get a good package for him, in my opinion. Kyle Kuzma is another guy who's currently on the trade block, Jonas Valanciunas. So I think you want to get some trade compensation for all these guys. You want to get some value out of all three of these guys, right? So I think we're in a really good position, guys. And so you guys, again, get in the comment section. Let me know what you guys are thinking as far as both of these deals. Which one do you like? Which one do you dislike? And why? Because I think that Jonas Valanciunas, the way he's playing, he's a little older. And it really brings up the next point before we move on, which is, yes, we don't really need to be in a rush to move him, because this is a comment that I've seen not only on the comment section here on YouTube, but on the X. And a couple of people have made this comment where we don't need to move him. He's on a cheap contract. But I think that the big reason for the cheap contract, yes, you are 100% correct. That is a very cheap contract that he could play here in DC and we not break it a bank to retain him. But the biggest thing when Will Dawkins signed him was to eventually move on from him. And I think that's something that was covered with his camp, with his agent. And I think that Jonas Valanciunas knew that when he came into the situation, yes, he was here to be a mentor to Alex R. He was here to be productive, to really show that he still has gas left in the tank. But he came here knowing that he's going to be moved at some point. And I think that he could be the first domino to fall, because he's shown that he can produce. He's been a really good player here in DC, and I think it's time to start moving on some of these vets, start showcasing some of these guys, and definitely start moving them and start this, because after the deadline, once we get into the second half of the season, you want to see a youth movement formally start, because we got a little glimpse when Kyle Kuzma went down what a youth movement could look like, and it's a fun, entertaining team. They're young, they're hungry, they play hard, they play the right way. And we want to get back to playing hard, playing to win, playing the right way, which is something, especially the last two games, we've seen a team that hasn't done that. So definitely in the second half of the season, when this is a younger team where the youth movement has formally started, you want to see them get back to playing hard, playing to win, really utilizing that Brian Keefe culture, which is you play hard and you play to win the game. So, all right, guys, we're going to kind of look forward to what to expect within, the rest of this week and next week, the itinerary for this channel. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. So, what is PrizePicks? PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everybody. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. That's it. There's 4 correct picks, and you are definitely cooking with oil, right? Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Think about it. Steph Curry will get more or less than 4 3-pointers next week, or Anthony Edwards for more than or less than 27 points. Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this basketball season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. So, look, to get this thing started, all you have to do is download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, everybody. Like I said, we're going to get into the schedule and what to expect the rest of this week and going into next week as far as content on this channel. So let me go ahead and pull up the schedule real quick. So looking at this week, guys, real quick. Tomorrow we will get into another content, another subject. Man, it's a long day, guys. And getting real quick, guys, before I get into the itinerary, I appreciate a lot of you guys. Man, I had to take the last night off. I was under the weather. I'm feeling a lot better, guys. I'm getting over this chest infection and this flu I had, man. I've been down since Saturday, feeling a lot better. Kind of went through my house, man. So everybody was hurting. So now everybody's starting to feel a lot better. So definitely appreciate everybody with the well-wishing, definitely appreciate that, guys. Definitely appreciate you guys rock with me when I was under the weather. So again, much love, guys. So tomorrow we will get into a preview for Friday's game against the Boston Celtics. Lord have mercy. The defending champion Boston Celtics will be in Cap 1 on Friday. So tomorrow night we will have a preview and another subject matter. Let's see. But Friday we will be going live after the Celtics game. So we're probably looking at around give or take 9:30. So definitely join your boy Friday night. to recap Friday night's game against the Boston Celtics at home at Capital One. But let's take a look at next week real quick, because this weekend coming up, Sunday, which is actually my birthday. They are at Indiana against the Pacers, which is a 5 o'clock game. So I will be going live after that on my birthday. It's not my 40. I actually turned 39. Next year is the big 4-0. But man, I still doesn't make it easier. But like I said, Sunday will be at Indiana at 5 o'clock. So should be doing the live recap around 7:30. And they're looking at next week, guys. Tuesday and Wednesday is a back-to-back, home against the Chicago Bulls, and then the Los Angeles Clippers. And then next Saturday is at Milwaukee against the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's what they expect. So a lot of games coming up, guys. We're getting into the thick of the regular season. So again, after each and every, you guys already know, man, after each and every regular season game, we do a live recap, unless it's a Saturday game or something, an illness or something happens within my house or whatever. But like I said, definitely expect to go live this Friday. So again, guys, appreciate you, man. Definitely appreciate you guys tuning in tonight and rocking with your boy last night, man. Between the chest infection and the flu and then the camera acted wild, we made it through like we always do. So again, appreciate you guys, man. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Get into the preview for Friday night's game. Hail to the Wizards and peace. Everybody have a good night.